Welcome, fellow Stitchers, to the penultimate episode of the Flosscast infographic series, Study and Play the Learning Hub Way, with me, Ollie, your trusty cross-stitch assistant. Together, we'll delve into an expansive array of features designed to elevate your cross-stitch experience. So, let's deep dive into the world of StitchPal, starting with the proficiency level. Progress from a beginner to an expert with these helpful lessons organised by stitches, methods, and knots. Access them in either instructional step-by-step graphics or follow-along videos for a comprehensive learning experience. The handy StitchPal short name for the proficiency level is Skill. Proficiency level can be found under the top level category, Learning Hub, and then Proficiency level as highlighted. The proficiency level is split into 3 levels: Beginner, Intermediate, and Expert. Each level is then split into these categories: Stitches, Methods, and Knots. The beginner stitches comprise of 3 lessons: full stitch, half stitch, and back stitch. The beginner methods comprise of 5 lessons: English cross stitch, Danish cross stitch, railroad stitching, basting stitching, and confetti stitches. The beginner knots comprise of 2 lessons: French knot and colonial knot. These 10 lessons are great to get you started on your cross-stitching journey. The intermediate stitches comprise of 4 lessons: 3/4 stitch, squat stitch, petite stitch, and 1/4 stitch. The intermediate methods comprise of 2 lessons: cross-country stitching English cross stitch and cross-country stitching Danish cross stitch. The intermediate knots comprise of 2 lessons: loop knotless and waist knot. These 8 lessons serve as a great way to add detail into your projects and improve efficiency with your stitching. The expert stitches comprise of 7 lessons: double Smyrna stitch, long arm stitch, herringbone stitch, double herringbone stitch, Italian stitch, rice stitch, and Hungarian stitch. The expert methods comprise of 2 lessons: tweeding blending and parking. These 9 lessons are superb for showcasing intricate stitching and utilising all the basics used in the beginner level. I must emphasise that these lessons are a guide only, and there may be alternative techniques that you prefer. Let's go back to beginner stitches and choose full stitch. Under every lesson selection is a brief description. There is then a checkbox for whether you have completed the lesson or not. I'll come back to this later on. The below section then shows the proficiency level, category, and type of stitch, method, knot as chosen. A step-by-step guide is provided which can be enlarged by clicking on the image. Underneath are the detailed number of steps to take. There is also a digital representation of what the stitch or knot will look like once completed, which can also be enlarged by clicking on the image. Lastly, a video tutorial is available which also goes through the step-by-step guide. Let's reset the values, this time selecting Beginner and Methods, and choose Danish cross stitch. The Danish method, as opposed to the English method, is great for big blocks of colour, as you do one leg of all the stitches before doing the other leg. This method also saves on thread 2. You may find on some lessons that the digital symbol of the stitch or knot may have more than one image. In this case, it shows what the first leg of the stitches would look like, and then the other leg. To toggle the images, you can either use the navigational arrows when clicking into the image, or the navigational arrows underneath the image on the page. The dots either side of the arrows indicate how many images there are. I will show one last example from the beginner levels, this time from knots. I am choosing French knot. We at StitchPal understand that everyone learns at their own pace and in their own style, so we have included as many different styles as possible into the lessons. Some lessons have additional notes with them in the form of the asterisks underneath the step-by-step guide. These are purely optional to the lesson at hand. Let's reset the values and delve into one of the intermediate lessons with stitches as the category. I am selecting 3/4 stitch. 3/4 stitching is also part of an umbrella term called fractional stitching. This is good for adding extra detail to your project but it can be tricky as it will also involve piercing the aider through the centre point of a stitch to create a new hole. As with the Danish cross stitch, there are additional images under the digital representation. These show the 4 different ways a 3/4 stitch can look depending on your starting point. The step-by-step guide example assumes you are starting from the bottom left corner of a stitch, and therefore the digital symbol example to match is the 3rd one in the bank of images. One last example this time, an expert lesson, using the method of tweeding and blending. This is just one method of blending, where you use strands of different coloured floss to subtly change the colour. With this being a complex lesson, there are multiple steps which require more images. These can be viewed as described earlier using the navigational arrows. When the lesson involves 2 colours of floss, this will be represented on the image as a pink strand and a grey strand to differentiate between the two. How do I complete a proficiency level lesson? Let's return back to the very first lesson, beginner stitches and full stitch. When you have finished a lesson, click on the completed button. A green tick will indicate this has been completed, along with your name appearing on the right hand side. There is a navigational button at the top of the screen to go to the Proficiency Level dashboard. This will feature in the next part of the podcast. The next chapter is about the Proficiency Level dashboard. Monitor your personal progress at each proficiency level and compare your average completion rate with other dedicated Stitch.Pal enthusiasts. When you successfully complete a proficiency level, expect a prestigious Golden Ollie certificate delivered directly to your email inbox as a well-deserved recognition of your achievements. The handy Stitch.Pal short name for Proficiency Level Dashboard is Stats. Proficiency Level Dashboard can be found under the top level category Learning Hub and then Proficiency Level Dashboard as highlighted. We left the last chapter having just completed the full stitch lesson in beginner stitches. This is indicated by my name appearing here. Let's go back to the dashboard by clicking the Go to Proficiency Level Dashboard button at the top of the screen. The dashboard reflects instantly any proficiency level lessons completed by a series of progress bars. In this case, the 2 progress bars shown are affected. Before we continue, here is a brief Ollie presentation. The top of the dashboard shows the number of Stitch.Pal users that have passed beginner, intermediate and expert levels, achieving the Golden Ollie. The rest of the dashboard is personal to the user. The next section of the dashboard is progress bars, which are split into beginner stitches, beginner methods, beginner knots and beginner total. Then intermediate stitches, intermediate methods, intermediate knots and intermediate total. Lastly, expert stitches, expert methods and expert total. Down the right hand side of the dashboard against each progress bar, the average percentage completion of Stitch.Pal users is shown. In the example here of beginner stitches, the average completion of Stitch.Pal users is 78% versus my personal percentage completion of 33%. Let's do another example from the beginner stitches lessons by clicking Go to Proficiency Level at the top of the screen. I will now choose the lesson Half Stitch and click Complete. Again, my name appears once completed, and if we switch back to the dashboard, this is now evidently shown with the 2 progress bars being updated. One last example in the beginner stitches lessons, this time backstitch. Again, both progress bars are updated, as well as the average percentage completion of Stitch.Pal users. Using the example shown on the screen, I will now complete the rest of the lessons in the beginner proficiency level. Now that the beginner proficiency level lessons are 100% complete, what happens next? Once a proficiency level reaches 100%, you will be sent a golden ollie to your email. Congratulations on achieving a golden ollie by completing all of the beginner tutorials. A golden ollie is a certificate you can display proudly from StitchPal. The certificate displays your name, proficiency level, and date completed. A separate golden ollie will be sent for 100% completing beginner, intermediate, or expert level lessons. The last thing to note on the dashboard before we finish with this chapter is when you 100% complete a proficiency level, the number of StitchPal users that have passed beginner, intermediate, and expert levels achieving the golden ollie will also be updated. The next chapter is about the Stitch Chronicles. Access curated knowledge from a pool of expert stitchers who have contributed to the Stitch Chronicles. Easily discover authors, terms, or titles using the user-friendly side search bar. Interconnected to the glossary and proficiency levels ensure a holistic and comprehensive learning journey. The handy StitchPal short name for the Stitch Chronicles is SAGA. The Stitch Chronicles can be found under the top level category Learning Hub and then the Stitch Chronicles as highlighted. The left-hand side of the screen shows all the Stitch Chronicles posts. You can search for a post in two ways, either using a glossary term keyword, like in this example, gridding, or by the author of the post, like in this example, Amanda Neely. I will now show how to navigate a Stitch Chronicles post. Let's search for the glossary term keyword, French knot. We get 3 posts. I will now explore further by clicking on the first post, how to make a French knot, easy and helpful tips. Down the right hand side of the screen shows all the information about the Stitch Chronicles post, starting with the author and their website URL. The next section has a main image followed by the first half of the post. There may be some external links you can investigate which are highlighted in blue. After the first half of the post are any remaining images associated with the post. These can be clicked to enlarge and then using the navigational arrows to cycle through the images or using the navigational buttons underneath the image. The dots between the navigational arrows indicate how many images there are. The rest of the post follows, and again any external links you can investigate are highlighted in blue. At the bottom of the Stitch Chronicles post are links to firstly any proficiency level lessons, in this case beginner knots, French knot. The second set of links are to any glossary term keywords, in this case French knot, floss stranded embroidery thread, and tapestry plus stitch needle. Comments can be left on the post for other StitchPal users to read. Even though I chose how to make a French knot easy and helpful tips to explore, there are other posts about French knots, like this one, French Knots by Janet M. Perry. Every post offers unique insights from the author about the subject matter, and worth a look to find additional bits of information. If you are a cross-stitch enthusiast with any blog posts and wish to contribute to the Stitch Chronicles and share with our amazing community, please reach out to Jason at jldigitalstudios.co.uk. The next chapter is about font patterns. Explore a vast selection of 60 plus fonts converted into Stitch patterns, ready for download as PDFs. These fonts are thoughtfully categorized into 3 groups: sans serif, serif, and script. Additionally, you'll find valuable information on the number of stitches, including ascenders and descenders, to make your stitching projects even more precise and visually appealing. The handy StitchPal short name for font patterns is SCRIBE. Font patterns can be found under the top level category, Learning Hub, and then Font Patterns, as highlighted. The Fonts pattern page is split into 4 tabs: All Fonts, Sans Serif, Serif, and Script. But what do these actually mean? Sans serif fonts have no tapers or tails, like as shown in this example with the font Helvetica and cross-stitch font Binary. Serif fonts have tapers or tails at the ends of the characters, as shown in this example with the font Times New Roman and cross-stitch font Diker. Script fonts take direct influence from handwriting and calligraphy and are decorated with numerous flourishes, as shown in this example with the font Compendium and cross-stitch font Heinz Heinrich. At its top level, each font displays the font name, the classification, the highest number of stitches for the uppercase characters, and the range of stitches for the lowercase characters. Let's have a closer look at one of the sans serif fonts, Binary. Clicking on a font makes a side window appear. Here we can see first the highest number of stitches for uppercase characters, the range of stitches for lowercase characters, and the classification. Underneath the font image is a font note and accreditation for the creator of the font. At the bottom are links to any proficiency level lessons needed for this font pattern. Going back to the font note, I will now unpack the terminology shown here, accounting for ascenders and descenders. First, the baseline. This is the imaginary line in which a line of text rests upon. The X height is the main vertical portion of the character, not including ascenders and descenders. The ascenders are part of a character above the top of the X height. The descenders are part of a character below the baseline. This little explanation may help with you when planning out your next project using one of the 60 plus font patterns. I will now show you a few other examples of what the font note could display. Still in the sans serif tab, let's click on the Hovden Stitch font and navigate to the font note. This states that this font does not include lowercase characters. The last example, 8-bit HUD, states small caps, which means you get a page of large uppercase characters and a page of small uppercase characters. Returning to the binary font and click on the font image. Here you can download the font pattern by either clicking the download button located at the top or the bottom of the screen. If you have any commercially free cross-stitch fonts and would like to contribute to StitchPal, please reach out to Jason at jldigitalstudios.co.uk. The final chapter is about the glossary. Broaden your understanding of the cross-stitch world with an extensive glossary featuring over 100 plus terms, all conveniently filterable for quick access. Additionally, delve deeper into your learning experience by cross-referencing these essential terminologies into the Stitch Chronicles for a more comprehensive understanding of the craft. The handy StitchPal short name for glossary is Study. Glossary can be found under the top level category Learning Hub and then Glossary as highlighted. The glossary is comprised of over 100 terms and split into the following categories for easy filtering: accessories, acronyms, brands, designs, fabrics, knots, measurements, methods, stitches, and threads. Let's have a look at some of the terms. I will select accessories as the category. At the top of the screen, you can now see the count has changed to 31 terms. Navigate the terms via the previous term button to the left or the next term button to the right. A term will display the name, a shorthand description, and an image. At the bottom of the screen, there may be links to the Stitch Chronicles, like with these posts, cross-stitch gridding 3 different ways, and how to back an embroidery hoop that have both references to the term water-soluble marker. Let's now end with a review of this episode. Skill within Learning Hub provides an extensive learning path within StitchPal for cross-stitching. Broken down into beginner, intermediate and expert tiers, this comprehensive guide delves into stitches, methods and knots. In total, there are 27 lessons which will cover stitching basics, introduce advanced techniques, enhance project detailing and showcase intricate stitching techniques building on beginner basics. Each lesson offers detailed step-by-step instructions, enlarged visual representations and tutorial videos. Users can track completed lessons and navigate seamlessly between levels and categories, ensuring a tailored learning journey. The Proficiency level lessons emphasise a flexible learning approach, catering to a diverse learning styles and preferences, fostering a comprehensive learning experience for enthusiasts of all skill levels in cross-stitching. Stats within Learning Hub is a powerful tool to track your progress and compare it with other users. Divided into beginner, intermediate and expert tiers, this dashboard features progress bars for different lessons. These bars display your completion status alongside the average completion rates of other users. As you complete lessons, the bars update, and upon reaching 100% completion in a level, you receive a prestigious Golden Ollie certificate via email, recognising your achievement. This dashboard not only tracks personal progress, but also showcases community achievements as more users attain the Golden Ollie. SAGA, or the Stitch Chronicles in Learning Hub, is a curated collection of wisdom contributed by experienced stitchers. It's easily searchable by authors, titles, or terms, providing a comprehensive learning experience linked to the glossary and proficiency levels. Clicking a post reveals detailed information on the right side, like the author's details. The post unfolds with visuals and content, often including external links. At the post's end, related links to proficiency level lessons and glossary terms enhance learning. Each post offers unique insights from various authors, providing valuable perspectives on the topics. Enthusiasts interested in contributing to the Stitch Chronicles can reach out to jason@jldigitalstudios.co.uk. SCRIBE within Learning Hub offers a collection of 60 plus fonts converted into stitch patterns, conveniently categorised as sans serif, serif and script. Each category represents different font styles. Sans serif lacks tapers, serif has tapered ends, and script imitates handwriting with decorative flourishes. Within each font pattern, details are displayed, including font name, classification, and stitch counts for uppercase and lowercase characters. Examining a font pattern reveals information like ascenders and descenders, aiding in precise project planning. Understand the terminology involved, such as the baseline, x-height, ascenders, and descenders. Crucial for design planning using these patterns. Users can download these patterns directly from the interface. Those willing to contribute commercially free cross-stitch fonts to StitchPal can contact jason@jldigitalstudios.co.uk. Study within Learning Hub holds over 100 essential terms divided into categories for easy access. The categories include accessories, acronyms, brands, designs, fabrics, knots, measurements, methods, stitches, and threads. You can navigate through the terms using the previous term or next term buttons. Each term includes a name, a brief description, and an associated image. Some terms link to related posts in the Stitch Chronicles, offering a more comprehensive understanding of the craft. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, stitch with a smile.